Hey loves, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing an acrylic application video. I haven't done one of these in quite some time, and so I decided to do that today. Although I do have a little bit of a confession. The reason why it is just an acrylic application set is because I was initially trying to do a full start to finish. However, as I was like halfway into the nail art that I was supposed to be doing, I remembered that Zero had a vet appointment, and so I had to take them off and then go to the appointment. So basically it ended up being an acrylic application video for that reason. But either way, I wanted to keep it in real time, showing you my entire acrylic application so that I'm able to explain it a little bit more. Usually my videos are just like, from start to finish, but they're more focused on like the nail art and to show you what I'm using and stuff. So for this one, I really wanted to go in depth for like beginner nail techs that are starting out with acrylic application. So the nail tips that I'm using are from my website, Crafts by 9, the 3XL square nose C-curve tips, which are available in a box now. The acrylic is from 𝘊𝘰𝘪𝘠𝘰𝘯𝘕, along with the monomer, the acrylic brush, and the dapping dish that you see here on the screen. Everything that I'm using is linked down below in the description box of this video. So I'm just starting in with the acrylic application. I like to use either a size 12 or 14 brush, sometimes a 10. Those are my favorite. And as a beginner nail tech, I suggest that you start off with something a little smaller. I would say 8 or 10, because you'll gradually start getting used to it and feel like you can, start getting bigger beads and stuff once you have a little bit more practice, and then you can go up in sizes. I don't suggest you starting off with a big size brush because it does get more monomer and it does pick up bigger beads, and you don't want to do that as a beginner when you're barely starting out to get familiarized with acrylic application. So the first bead that you apply is where the nail tip, when the nail tip meets your natural nail. That's where I place my first bead, and depending on the length of your tip, if it's short, you grab, a medium-sized bead. If it's long, then you grab a bigger bead. I always do my nails like extra long, so I do need to grab a bigger bead. I don't like to work down and then have to work up. What that means is I don't like to grab a small bead, place it where the natural nail meets the nail tip, and then go down and then have to apply another bead at the very tip. For me, it doesn't work because it ends up being like kind of bumpy. I just don't know. I'm not really too into that. Like, I've practiced it, I've tried it, I didn't like it. So I like to grab a big bead and then work my way down. And then the second bead I place right above that. Usually it does take 3 beads. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 5. So don't be too worried or focused on that. Like I said, if stuff works for you, it might not work for me. Things that work for me might not work for you. And that goes to say with like most of this nail stuff. I try to teach you like the way that I like to do it, the way that it's worked for me. And I really hope that it works for you as well. But don't knock it till you try it. Maybe it'll work for you and you'll love it and it'll be your favorite. So that's why I wanted to keep this video in real time so you can like see it. And don't worry too about the thickness of it on the first go, because you can either encapsulate if you choose to with clear acrylic after, or you can just build it up with the same colored acrylic. Just keep in mind that if you're doing a super long nail and you don't encapsulate, so you're going to be doing your apex and your thickness all with the same acrylic color, then it's going to be wasting a lot of product. So to avoid that, you basically just lay down like a flat, I completely am losing my train of thought, you guys, I'm so sorry. But just lay down your acrylic flat and then go in with the clear acrylic, and that's when you can focus more on your apex and your thickness of the nail that you're looking for. With most of the acrylics that I use, like 𝘈𝘪𝘃𝘃, nail polish, you don't need to encapsulate because the colors are super, super thick. They're not pigments, which means that they are still super pigmented, but they're not known as pigment colors because most pigment colors are so thin that it's basically like painting on your nails in acrylic form, and then you're gonna have to go in with your clear acrylic after, because then you're gonna have to create your thickness that way. Most of the acrylics that I use are super thick on their own. They're amazing, you know, they are super pigmented and you do not need to encapsulate. But if you want to use less product, then go ahead and do that with your clear acrylic of your choice after. The top like 3 clear acrylics that I would say are from 𝘈𝘪𝘃𝘃, nail polish, and nail house. If I had to think at the top of my head, those are like my favorites to use. And they leave like little bubbles, like little to no bubbles, but mostly no bubbles. I do have another video showing you how to not have bubbles with your clear acrylic. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the clear acrylic, but the amount of monomer that you pick up and how dry your bead is. So that's on a whole other video that I have here on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in watching that, I will link it down below. So then I apply the third bead, which is closest to the cuticle area. And this is the one that you have to be the most careful with because you do not want to flood your cuticle area. When you flood your cuticle area, that is what causes lifting. And of course, as us nail techs, we do not want any lifting, right? We want our nails to last as long as possible. So you have to be super, super careful. What I do is I apply the last bead smaller, of course, because your cuticle area is smaller than the rest. And you apply it right below the cuticle. As it is drying a little bit, you push it up, and you push it up towards that cuticle area, and you kind of put your brush down at the tip so it like goes into the cuticle, but it's not flooding it. And so that way, when you go in with your e-file, then you can actually seal the cuticle area, and it makes it a lot easier. And that's to seal the cuticle area is a must because that is what prevents prevents nail lifting as well. So you have to be super, super careful with this cuticle area application. If you want to focus on one thing with this cuticle application stuff is to make sure that you don't flood it. You don't want to flood your cuticles. And that way it will create a flawless result. And it just, like, when you flush your cuticles, it just looks so, so pretty. And so that is what I make sure to do. Like, when you see the beads side by side of the size that I pick up, you can see a huge difference because in that cuticle area, you don't want to go too big. I mean, if you do, just make sure to clean it up right away with your acrylic brush, but you want to prevent that altogether. Just make sure that the final result, that it's flushed and it's, you know, clean and it's not sticking out, because it will start lifting like within days of having your acrylic nails on. And then after that, you go in with any other beads that you feel necessary to complete the nail. And hopefully, you know, you're looking at it from the side and you're seeing the thickness, the apex, everything is right and in place. And then you're done. And then you can go in with your hand file, which I do. And then I go in with my e-file after that to go over the entire nail. And then I go in with my buffer block. And then, of course, I go into any nail art that I'm going to do or whatever it is. And then you go in with your top coat. I, of course, have other videos if you guys are interested in seeing those of like start to finish nail sets and stuff. Any kind of videos that you guys would like to see, please let me know down in the comments. And I hope you guys liked today's video. Let me know what else you guys would like to see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.